I, 26F, need advice about a situation that's causing major tension between my dad, 46M, and my fiancé Dave, 30M. Some background is needed to understand why this is such a complicated mess. I've been with Dave for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. We met at a local coffee shop where I was studying for my CPA exam. He was performing at their open mic night, and we hit it off immediately. He was charming, funny, and seemed so passionate about his music. Looking back, maybe I was caught up in the whole musician thing. My dad never really warmed up to Dave. He's always civil, but I can tell he has reservations. Dad's always been protective of me, especially since Mom died when I was 12. She had breast cancer, and watching her decline took a toll on both of us. After she passed, Dad worked 2 jobs, his regular position at the bank and weekend shifts at a warehouse, just to keep our life stable and put me through college. He made sure I never felt the financial strain, but I knew the sacrifices he made. Dad taught me everything about financial responsibility. He helped me build my credit score for my first secured card at 18, showed me how to budget, and encouraged me to be independent. Thanks to him, I'm financially stable with an emergency fund and a great credit score. He's not perfect, but he's always had my best interests at heart. Dave's background is different. He comes from a wealthy family. His dad owns a successful construction company. Dave worked there after college but quit 5 years ago to pursue his music career. His family cut him off, saying he needed to learn responsibility. They thought he'd come crawling back, but he took a job in sales instead. He still does music part-time, playing at bars and small venues with his band. His relationship with his family is tense. They think he's irresponsible and immature, and honestly, some recent events are making me wonder if they're right. Last week, Dave totaled his car. He was rushing to what he said was an important gig, texting his bandmates while driving, and rear-ended someone at a red light. The other driver is fine, thankfully, but Dave's car is completely wrecked. Insurance won't cover it because he was texting while driving. Now he needs a car for his sales job but can't get a decent loan due to his bad credit. When he first asked me to co-sign, I was caught off guard. We were having dinner at my place, and he casually brought up that he'd been to several dealerships but couldn't get approved for a loan. He said with my credit score, we could get a good interest rate, and it would help him rebuild his credit. When I didn't immediately agree, he got quiet and distant for the rest of the evening. I called Dad for advice the next day. That's when things got complicated. Dad got really serious and said he needed to tell me some things about Dave. Apparently, Dad had done some digging when we got engaged. He works in finance and has access to credit reports. He found out Dave has defaulted on several loans, has maxed out credit cards, and this isn't his first time being reckless with money. Dad had been sitting on this information, hoping Dave would come clean himself. When I confronted Dave about his financial history, he got defensive. He accused me of spying on him and said his past mistakes shouldn't define him. He brought up how his band might get signed soon. They'd been talking to some local promoter and he'd easily pay off the car loan then. When I expressed doubt about the band's prospects, he accused me of being unsupportive like his family. The more I paid attention, the more red flags I noticed. Dave's been staying at my place more since the accident, saying he needs to save on gas money by not driving back to his apartment. But I've seen him getting packages from expensive music stores while claiming he can't afford his half when we order takeout. When I asked about this, he said the equipment was essential for his music career and accused me of being materialistic like his family. Yesterday, things got really heated. Dave said if I don't help with the loan, he'll lose his sales job because he can't make his appointments without a car. He said if that happens, it would be my fault for not supporting him when he needed me. He even brought up how he's been there for me emotionally, referring to when I was stressed about my CPA exam, and now I won't be there for him financially. I called Dad after this conversation, and he got really worried. He said Dave is trying to manipulate me and suggested I reconsider the engagement. When I told Dave what Dad said, he got angry. He said Dad's trying to control my life and ruin our relationship because he's never accepted Dave. He brought up how Dad judged him for quitting his job at his father's company, saying Dad's just like his own family, only caring about money and status. I'm really torn. On one level, Dave's right that partners should help each other. We're getting married, so his problems are going to be my problems anyway. But Dad's warnings make so much sense. I worked really hard for my good credit score, and I'm scared of risking it. Dave's been making me feel guilty about not helping, but maybe he's just desperate? I don't want to be like his family who gave up on him, but I also don't want to make a huge financial mistake. The tension is affecting everyone. Dad's been texting me articles about financial abuse in relationships. Dave's been making passive-aggressive comments about how his family was right about me being just like them. I'm starting to dread going home because I know Dave will bring up the car loan again. Am I being unfair to Dave by hesitating? Should I trust my dad's judgment or give Dave a chance to prove himself? The engagement party is in 2 months, and I need to figure this out before then. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. A lot of you pointed out red flags I hadn't considered, especially about the music equipment purchases. I'm going to sleep on this and update when I've made a decision. Edit 2. To those asking, yes, Dave has a valid license and insurance. The accident wasn't technically his fault since the other driver stopped suddenly, but his texting while driving voided the insurance coverage. Update 1. Thanks for all the advice on my last post. You all call the red flags correctly, and things have gone from bad to worse. After reading your comments, I decided not to co-sign the loan. I told Dave my decision over dinner at my place. His reaction was worse than I expected. He stormed out, saying he needed space and would stay at his friend Dave's place. He ignored my calls and texts for 4 days. I was worried sick, checking local hospitals and even driving by Dave's house to make sure Dave's car wasn't there. We later found out he'd been staying with a different friend. When he finally came back, he seemed different. He apologized, said he understood my decision, and admitted he'd overreacted. He brought flowers and cooked dinner, saying he wanted to make things right. But something felt off. He was too nice, if that makes sense. Like when he broke my favorite mug last year and spent a week being extra sweet before admitting it. Last week, everything fell apart. I was checking my credit card statement to pay the bill when I noticed some unusual charges. At first, it was small stuff, $20 at a gas station, $15 at a music store, $30 at a restaurant I'd never been to. But as I looked closer, I found bigger purchases, $500 at Guitar Center, $300 at some recording studio, and several charges at places I didn't recognize. My heart was pounding as I checked my other cards. Same story. Unauthorized charges everywhere. When I confronted Dave, he tried to laugh it off at first, saying I must have forgotten about letting him use the card. But when I showed him charges from times we weren't even together, he broke down. He admitted he'd taken photos of my cards while I was sleeping. He'd been using them for weeks, claiming he needed equipment for his band and couldn't get his own credit cards approved. He swore he was going to pay me back when the band got signed. They apparently had some big shot producer interested. Spoiler, they didn't. But that wasn't even the worst part. Through his ramblings, I found out he'd been lying about his job. He was fired 2 months ago for consistently showing up late. The car accident? It happened while he was driving to an audition, not work. He'd been pretending to go to work each day while actually going to band practice and auditions. I called my dad in tears. Dad came over immediately and helped me cancel all my cards. The whole time, Dave kept trying to justify himself. He said I forced him into this by not helping with the car loan. Then he started blaming his ex, saying she ruined his credit years ago by making him co-sign a loan she never paid. This was the first I'd heard about any ex ruining his credit. Dad, who normally stays pretty calm, completely lost it. He told Dave to get out or he'd call the police and press charges for credit card fraud. Dave left, but he keeps texting. The messages swing between desperate apologies and angry accusations. 1 minute he's saying he'll do anything to make it right, the next he's saying I betrayed him by canceling the cards when his band was about to make it big. His latest message claims the band has an opportunity to open for a major act next month, and he just needs me to give him one more chance. He even sent a screenshot of what he claims is an email from a promoter, but the whole thing looks fake. I haven't filed charges yet. Partly because I still care about him, stupid, I know, and partly because his family reached out. His sister Emma called me yesterday. They've offered to repay everything he charged if I don't involve the police. Turns out they've been through this before with him, though they wouldn't give me details. Emma just said this isn't the first time Dave has borrowed money without permission. I'm staying at Dad's place now, trying to figure out what to do. The total charges are over $3,000. Dave's friends have been harassing me on social media, saying I'm heartless for considering legal action against my fiancé when he was just trying to follow his dreams. Some of them are musicians too, and they keep saying I don't understand how hard it is to make it in the industry. But learning this isn't his first time doing this. It makes me wonder what else he's lied about. His family's quick offer to pay me back seems suspicious too. Why would they do that if they cut him off years ago? Emma hinted there's more to the story of why they cut him off, but said it wasn't her place to tell me. Dad wants me to press charges anyway, says it's the only way Dave will learn. But would I be awful for doing that to someone I was going to marry? Someone I still love, despite everything? I canceled the engagement party. Most of the deposits were non-refundable, but Dad says it's cheaper than a divorce would have been. He's trying to make me laugh, but I can tell he's worried about me. He keeps checking my room at night like he did after Mom died. I'll update again when I decide what to do about pressing charges. Right now, I'm just trying to process how the man I thought I was going to marry turned out to be someone I never really knew at all. Edit, for those asking, yes, I have screenshots of all the credit card charges and his texts admitting to taking the card info. My credit card company is investigating the fraud. They've already reversed some of the charges. Edit 2, please stop DMing me about helping with Dave's band. I get that you're all musicians too, but I'm not interested in investing in anyone's music career right now. Update 2, everything has gotten so much worse since my last update. I thought accepting Dave's family's offer to repay the credit card charges would be the end of it. I was wrong. So wrong. After they paid me back, surprisingly quickly, I got a message from Dave's sister Emma asking to meet for coffee. She said there were things I needed to know. I almost didn't go. I was trying to move on, but something in her voice when she called made me agree. What she told me made me sick to my stomach. The real reason they cut Dave off wasn't just about him quitting the family business. 2 years before that, their grandmother noticed her jewelry was missing. We're talking about family heirlooms worth thousands, pieces that had been passed down for generations. Dave convinced everyone his cousin Tommy had stolen them to feed a gambling addiction. The family believed him because Tommy had struggled with gambling in the past. They only discovered the truth when Dave tried the same thing with their aunt 6 months later. He got caught trying to take her wedding rings while helping her move. When confronted, he claimed he was just moving them somewhere safer. But a local pawn shop owner recognized his photo and confirmed he'd sold several pieces of jewelry there. The family had kept this quiet to protect their reputation. They gave him an ultimatum: work for his dad and go to therapy, or be cut off. He chose to leave, telling everyone it was because they didn't support his music. But that's not even the worst part. Remember that ex he blamed for ruining his credit? Her name is Rachel, and I found her on Facebook. We met at a local diner, and she told me everything. Their story was eerily similar to ours. They dated for 2 years. He moved in with her, promising to contribute to bills once his band got signed. Then her credit card started showing mysterious charges. He always had excuses: the band needed equipment, he was about to get a big break, he'd pay her back soon. By the time she figured out what was happening, he'd maxed out all her cards and taken out loans in her name. She had to file for bankruptcy. She showed me messages from 3 other women with similar stories. All of them met Dave through the local music scene. He'd date them, move in, and slowly drain their finances while promising to make it big with his band. One woman lost her house because he convinced her to take out a second mortgage to invest in a guaranteed record deal. Another maxed out her student loans buying him equipment. He had a pattern: find women with good credit, love bomb them, move in, then bleed them dry. I was shaking when I left the diner. I drove straight to Dave's apartment to confront him. He was actually there for once, writing what he claimed was going to be his band's breakthrough song. When I laid out everything I'd learned, he didn't even deny it. Instead, he turned it around on me. He said I'd betrayed him by talking to his ex, that I was trying to ruin his life like all the others. He claimed Rachel was crazy and jealous because he dumped her. Then he threatened to tell people I'd been stealing from my dad's company, completely false, if I told anyone about what he'd done. He said no one would believe me anyway. He'd already told his friends I was unstable and jealous of his success. I blocked him everywhere: phone, email, social media. But yesterday he showed up at my workplace. He made a huge scene in the lobby, yelling about how I promised to support his dreams and how I was just like all the other women who were jealous of his talent. Security had to remove him. My coworkers were shocked. They'd met him at office parties where he'd played the role of charming, devoted fiancé perfectly. My boss called me into his office afterward. Thankfully, he was understanding and suggested I work from home for a while. He even offered to hire extra security for the building. I broke down crying in his office. All the stress and humiliation just poured out. Dave's been emailing me from new accounts, switching between apologizing and threatening to expose me. His latest claim is that a major record label is interested in his demo, and when he's famous, I'll regret not believing in him. Rachel warned me about this. Apparently, he used the same line on all of them. I've saved all his messages and sent copies to my lawyer. We're discussing legal options. Part of me still can't believe this is happening. How did I not see who he really was? Edit, thanks for all the support. To clarify, yes, I've told my workplace about the restraining order I'm seeking. They've been incredibly supportive. Update 3: this will be my final update on the Dave situation. After the workplace incident, I got a restraining order. The judge granted it immediately after seeing the evidence: texts, emails, credit card statements, and security footage from my office building. Dave's family testified in support of the order, revealing they have one against him too. Last week, I got a call from Emma. Dave moved to Austin to live with some new girlfriend he met online. Apparently, she's a music blogger with her own recording studio. Emma tried warning her about Dave, showing her the police reports and restraining orders. The girlfriend accused us of being haters trying to hold back Dave's talent. Emma said it felt like watching a car crash in slow motion. Some revelations have come out since my last update. I ran into Dave's old bandmate Jake at the grocery store. He finally told me the truth about the band. Dave had been lying about his musical talent. He could barely play 3 chords and kept missing practices because he was networking, his word for hitting on women at bars. The band kicked him out months ago. All those big opportunities he kept talking about? Complete lies. Those expensive music purchases on my credit cards? He'd been selling the equipment online for cash. The recording studio charges were fake. He'd visit studios, claim his card was declined, then use my card over the phone later. The staff never knew they were dealing with stolen credit cards. Dad's been amazing through all this. He helped me rebuild my credit and install security cameras at my new apartment. He never once said I told you so. Instead, he's been helping me deal with the fallout. We even started a Sunday dinner tradition again, like we had after Mom died. Rachel, the ex, and I have become friends. She's helping me warn other women in the local music scene about Dave's scams. We created a private Facebook group for his victims. There are 11 of us now. Some lost their homes, others filed bankruptcy. One woman had to drop out of medical school because of the debt he left her with. Dave's latest girlfriend has been posting about their fairy tale romance on social media. Pictures of them in her studio, captions about supporting his dreams, hashtags about being a boss babe power couple. It's like watching my own past play out again. Emma says their parents are already setting aside money for when he inevitably drains this girl's accounts. I'm not dating right now. Focusing on my career instead, got a promotion last month. The whole experience made me realize I need to trust my instincts more. Looking back, there were so many red flags I ignored because I wanted to believe in love. Dad bought me a new coffee maker for my apartment. I'd been avoiding coffee shops since that's where I met Dave. The card said better coffee, better choices. It made me laugh for the first time in months. To those who said I should have listened to my dad from the start, you were right. At least I found out before marriage and kids were involved. The engagement ring is being sold, and the money will go to a domestic violence shelter that helps women escape financial abuse. This whole experience taught me that sometimes love really does make you blind. But I'm not ashamed anymore. I'm angry, not just for myself, but for all the women Dave has hurt and will hurt. At least now there's a paper trail of restraining orders and police reports for his next victim to find. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Your comments helped me see things clearly when I was still making excuses for him. I won't be updating again. This chapter of my life is finally over. Edit, stop asking for the name of his new girlfriend's studio. I won't help dox anyone, even if it's to warn them. Edit 2, yes, I've considered writing a book about this experience. No, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to give Dave any more space in my life.